And we are live again. Can you hear me loud and clear, Coach?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
All right, let's see how many people can hear us now. Hello, guys. Welcome again. I'm sorry about that premature ending earlier. We were having some problems with the audio, and I had to reboot my total system. So, of course, the feed was broken before I had to restart. So, if you're just joining, welcome again. I was here at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And of course, the audio was giving us trouble, so I had to reboot. But please let me know if you are hearing. Let me know if you are hearing, or we just give them a minute to rejoin us, Coach. If you are hearing, or we just give them a minute to. Hi guys, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I don't know what is happening, but it seems as if, you know, last week we had audio problems, this week we had audio problems, and so, guys, please bear with us. We're waiting for you to return. We're waiting for you to return. We don't want you to miss anything. We don't want you to miss anything. Please rejoin. Please rejoin. Um, please rejoin so that we can continue our discussion. I think we should be okay now. We should be okay now. Uh, All right, I'm going to put my phone on silent. Coach, you can put yours on silent too or vibrate. And hopefully we don't have any more disruptions. Oh my God. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Please come on back in so we can restart with this conversation. Of course, Coach was telling us earlier that he's a past student of the Tivoli Gardens High School. And this is what I don't like when there's a break in the feed, but welcome back guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yes, I was having some technical difficulties and I had to reboot my entire system, and because of that I lost the original feed, so we are now on a new feed. Of course, we are going to get this interview done one way or another. We're not giving up. Right, Coach Harrison?
Definitely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I like that. All right, until people roll back in. Yes, you were telling me that what life was like at the Tivoli Gardens High School. Can you just recap that for a little bit? What your teenage life was like in high school?
It was actually a very good one. Before we were having difficulties, you asked me if I choose Tivoli, but I think Tivoli chose me, because basically I did not actually choose Tivoli in terms of my choices. But
Mm-hmm.
then, after pass examination for Tivoli Comprehensive High School, and attending the school, I had a lot of love and passion for the school. It's a school that is very comprehensive, as the name suggests, is the then
Mm-hmm.
Ghana Comprehensive High School. So there are so many skills that you can learn at that institution, apart from the academic aspect of life. And so everyone who attend that school, if you come out to nothing, then you definitely do not want to achieve anything in life. It caters to every single person.
I like that very much. Tell me one of those special skills that you were able to acquire while in high school at Tivoli.
Well, for me, I was more of the academic person, so I was more in the arts and the sciences, and so I wasn't involved in terms of, like, you have like tailoring, you have mechanic, auto mechanic, and those kind of skills. So I wasn't one who so inclined on that avenue. I was more in the academic stream.
Champs is a big deal, coach. In your time when you were competing, champs, boys champs was separate, girls champs was separate. What was championship like when you were competing?
Not much different from now. The intensity was just as great. The strong rivalry between KC, JC, Calabar was in existence then. I think the only difference now is the collaboration of both boys and girls championship. But back then the rivalry were just as intense as now. Nothing have really changed. No, well, let me not say nothing, because during my time, when you compete at champs, if you say, let us say that Calabar win champs that year, then you would wear the particular number, right? That your school finished. So if Calabar finished first, KC was second, JC was third, you will wear 1, 2, and 3. It is now a bit different, whereby you wear individualized number. It's not like that anymore.
Interesting that you point that out because I didn't even know that. It makes sense, but I wasn't even aware that it was so different back then.
Yes, hence the reason for KC sitting where they sit at champs, because KC won champs so often that they would place you according to how you finish. So that section to the grandstand where you always see colorful, where purple rain, is where number one would be. But KC was always number one during that time. So KC would be there, Calabar next to them, then Jamaica College, then you would say maybe Woolmers, and so on and so forth. So that is how the stadium would look.
Wow, in the bleachers, right?
Right, in the bleachers.
I would love to see that again. I would love to see that. Already KC is in Kingston College. For those of you who are, is not Jamaican, KC means Kingston College. I would really love to see that again because Kingston College is already in the number one spot, which is right in the finish line.
Right.
And then you would have Calabar, KC. I would love to see that. I would love to see
So
that
during my
again.
time at school, that would be the complexion of things where champs is concerned.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome, guys. If you're just coming back, I'm so sorry about earlier. I was having some technical difficulties. Of course, I reboot my entire system. And Margaret Bell is saying much better audio. Thank you very much, Margaret. And guys, I apologize for that. Coach, champs, as we're talking about, and you're now explaining to us that there were some differences back then that I wasn't even aware of. But from Tivoli Comprehensive High School to GC Foster College, how was that transition for you from high school? You're now in college, which is a higher level. What was it like for you?
It was pretty interesting, but it was like a home away from home. I was boarding at the institution, so you are now meeting people from all different the 14 parishes of Jamaica. But GC Foster is a great institution filled with a lot of talent, and so you get to learn a lot about people. And it was one of those institutions that prepares you not only for track and field but also for life.
Wow. Why did you choose GC Foster though? There was CAST, there was UE, there was all these different teachers college. Is there a specific reason why
The
you chose GC Foster?
the passion for sports. I just have a great passion for sports, and even at high school I realized, being the captain of the team at then, my interest was also not only in terms of my own passion and my own development, but also I realized I was able to own and to develop my peers, and so I had that interest from a very tender age. And what a lot of people fail to understand is that sports is also a science, and it must be treated as such. And I don't think a lot of people is aware of the entire work that goes into a preparation for boys and girls championship.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that, coach, because we, the fans, we take it for granted that, okay, champs turn up and the teams turn up, but the work that you guys have to do behind the scene is remarkable. But what led you to choose? You said something earlier about the arts. You like the arts, but why did you choose to pursue higher education in physical education? What led you to choose that path?
I think I was encouraged by the teacher at the institute at Tivoli Garden Comprehensive High School. I think teachers, they are aware of your talent, they are aware of your skill, they are aware of your level of academic, and also you will be at a school where the teachers, then they know you best. They are the one who are owning and developing your talent from first form up to fifth form, and pretty much they are the ones that is going to encourage you and to motivate you. Choose this, choose that, and so that was what pretty much led me. There was a teacher by the name of Miss Maria Smith. She was the head of the physical education department, and she was like a mother to every student who participated in sports. And she was one of the teacher who said, Neil, I think you will do very well in coaching, you will do very well in teaching, and I'm going to ensure that you attend GC Foster College of Physical Education. And being not only our head of our sports department, but being the mother figure that she really was at that time, I just listened to her and took her advice, and the rest is history.
Beautiful, beautiful. You said something very important, that the teachers are the ones who see the athletes every day, every day. They're the one molding you guys, and they would know your strengths and your weaknesses and is better able to guide you on a path. Any regrets?
I have no regrets. No regrets in terms of the any of the institution that I've attended. Tivoli is a great institution. In fact, when I've when I'm doing well in sports as a coach, and there are times when they would ask me, which what is your alma mater? And when I say Tivoli, they would say Tivoli. Like something is wrong with Tivoli. It's a great institution. Tivoli made me into what I am. And a lot of people would say that your environment tends to shape your behavior. But I'm
I don't believe that.
and that's exactly what I'm saying now. And I'm saying, life is what you make it. You have your plans, your aims, and your objectives. And if you really, a man is a slave to what he see is good for him. And so, therefore, if you are interested in anything good in life, then you will choose the path that will lead you to that direction.
Amen. It is, I tell people all the time, coach, it's not how you start the race, but how you finish.
Exactly.
Is how you finish. That is one of my motto that I live by. But coach, let us talk a little bit about before we get to coaching, you are an educator. What's the difference? How different is it teaching a class and coaching a team?
Wow. I think they are pretty much one and the same. But however, in terms of the coaching, and you have methodology of coaching, and you tend to collaborate your method that you use in coaching also inside of the classroom. So I think it also gives you an advantage being a teacher and being a coach. One of the things that I've learned over the years is that students tend to have a love for coaches. And so what teachers find difficult to get through to the students, the coaches find it very easy to get through to them. And so I'm very grateful that I'm able to use the skill as a teacher and the skill as a coach to able to develop and to own the different practical and academic skills where my students are concerned.
Wow, man, coach, you are on a roll. Let us talk about some training techniques. Physical education is one thing, but coaching, what motivated you to get into coaching the way you are right now?
Okay, so the fact that one, I was an athlete, two, the love and the passion to own and to develop. It is always a great feeling when you can take somebody from square one and to see the kind of achievement that they would able to develop down the road. And so for me, it was always trying to prepare athletes mentally, physically, emotionally, because where sport is concerned, each each, the mental, the physical, and the psychological, each is interdependent on the other in order for the athlete to achieve his optimum performance.
Wow. And athlete development is very important. The physical, the mental, and stuff like that. How important is it for coaches to understand the science of the body in to a point where maximum you're able to develop an athlete to their full potential?
I think in answering that question, let me take you down the pathway as it relates to what preparing athletes for champs
Yes,
um,
sir.
would constitute, and I think that will better give individuals an idea of how scientific preparing athletes um, entails. Because in the first place, I think most people would look at PE teachers as teachers who are weak, or you just teach people who run up and down. It is nothing of the sort. Sports is a science. And so if you're going to prepare any school at all for what we call the Boys and Girls Championship, you have to set up what is called a periodization. Periodization is an annual training plan. All your aims and your goals and your objective for the entire year. Now, when you set up that periodization, you have to break down the periodization into cycles. And so you have what is called a macrocycle, a mesocycle, a microcycle, and a unit plan. Now, the macrocycle is actually the periodization, the annual plan itself, the entire plan for the total year. And then you have to break down that macrocycle now into a mesocycle, which is the monthly preparation for the athletes. Now, in terms of the mesocycle, which is 1 month, you go through what is called a 3-and-1 preparation. A 3-and-1 meaning that 3 weeks of training and 1 week of rest, test, and recovery. Now, the rest can be active or passive. Active meaning that you are doing activities, but not as intense as the previous 3 weeks, because you coach on principles. And one of the principle of coaching states that principle of reversibility. It states that fitness cannot be stored for future use. And this is saying that train rest if you must, but if you rest long, you will rust. And so training is an ongoing process, and the moment that you stop, you will go to square one. Everything in this life is governed by a principle, and the moment you breach a principle, then you are going to suffer the consequence. So you go through a 3-and-1 cycle: 3 weeks of intense work, 1 week of tests and recovery. Just like anything in life, if you are doing something for 3 weeks, then you want to do some amount of evaluation to see if you have achieved the objectives. Now, after you go through what is called the mesocycle, you have also what is called the microcycle. The microcycle is the weekly training plan, so what you do from Monday to Saturday, right? And then you have the unit plan. The unit plan is what you do within a day. So entire week your entire week workout is what we call the microcycle. So all your daily routine put together gives you that microcycle. But after you set up your macrocycle, your microcycle, and your unit plan, you also have what is called GPP and SPP and transition period. Your GPP is your general physical preparation, while your SPP is your specific preparation. Now, during your GPP, this is what we call the background. This is where you lay the foundations for your training in order to move on to the SPP, which is a specific aspect of your training program. Now, for the layman who is not understanding what I'm saying,
Like me, coach.
it's like you're building a house. So the GPP of the house is going to be the foundation that you are going to lay in order to set up a strong structure. So in other words, your sand, your gravel, your steel, you are going to use those so that in times of rough times, the hurricane, the wind, the sun, etc., you have a proper structure that will not affect your house in any shape or form. So the general physical preparation now is the background of your training, where you develop the cardiovascular endurance, the muscular endurance, where you develop flexibility, where you develop strength, etc., etc. Right? And so this is what is going to lay the foundation for the SPP. Now, when you set up a GPP, you have to look at the number of weeks that you have in preparation for champs, and to decide how many weeks will your GPP constitute. So if you start from July right up to November, you will get your GPP. Now you're going to move into December into your specific preparation, which is the SPPs, special physical preparation. Now, during this special physical preparation, um, the preparation must be specific to the event and specific to the individual. In other words, if you're coaching 100-meter athletes, 200, 400, then the workout must be specific to the event that they are going to do. It is also must be specific to the individual, because when you're coaching, you have a principle that is called principle of individualization. In other words, if you are say 18 years of age and I am 16 years of age, right? My training method, the co-training method must be specific to both individuals. In other words, you can be your training age is going to be a very important component, as well as your biological age. Now, how do I structure a program for an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old? Now, you can be you can be 16 and I am 18, but your program is more advanced than my program, even though I'm 18, because maybe at 18 I am just starting training, so my training age would be very young. But you are 16, maybe you started training from 14, so you have an older training age than I do. And so therefore you have what we call principle of individualization. So it must be specific to the event and specific to the individual.
Hold
Now,
that thought, coach. Hold that thought. Wow. That is a lot. Guys, I hope that you are writing this down. Okay, I'm seeing welcome track one track hero. He's saying, Coach, one track hero is saying that you're on point. He did this in PE Cape. So he's saying that you're on point with everything that you're saying because he did it in physical education. Cape one coach one Kino is also here. Welcome. Anita Winter is saying good evening to everyone. Boy, coach, you are using a lot of expressions and jargons. Coach, you're a teacher. I know that you're a teacher, but you need to be teaching this kind of thing, coach. Are you?
well,
Are you
yes,
a lecturer?
yes, I'm a teacher.
Okay. And you teach
Yes, I do.
this subject. Okay, okay. All right. Let us continue.
Yes, so you have also what you call principle of overloading. Principle of overloading is just simply saying that during your general physical preparation, the work intensity is going to be very high. No, there are method to the madness. So I'm saying you're going to overload the athletes to allow adaptation to take place. But even though you're overloading the athletes, you have to start from simple to more complex. No, while you're overloading the athlete, you must also understand the principle that when the volume is high, the intensity is low. So during the GPP, the volume is going to be high and the intensity is going to be low. Let me make it a little bit more simpler for the layman also. For example, if you are doing 10 to 100 meters during your general physical preparation, there's no way under the sun can an athlete do 10 to 100 meters and you're running them at 22 seconds, because at the end of the day, by the time you reach number 2 or number 3, you're going to be very tired. And so therefore, you want to get them the volume so that the cardiovascular endurance, the muscular endurance is achieved. So as it relates to the volume, when you're doing the 10 to 100s, so it's going to be 10 to 100 at 30 seconds. And the rest period will be 3 minutes in between. So the volume in terms of the amount is at the top, but in terms of the intensity, it will be very low so that you'll able to complete it.
Wow. Coaches, so far I'm seeing two coaches on the live here, and of course they are busy their coach. This is, I've never, I've spoken to a lot of coaches and I've never heard it so precise and detailed. But let me ask you, coach, you said earlier that if you're coaching 20 athletes, then the training has to be specific, one, for the event that they're doing, and two, to the athlete. How are you able to maneuver that when you have a team with 30, 40, 50 boys?
Okay, so from a general perspective, you're going to have athletes with similarities. So you place them into that group or into that category, and then you're going to have athletes with difference. You're also coaching. The, you're preparing for champs, or you're preparing for your region competition. In my case at States, it would be in Western region. So you'd have class 4 boys. Class 4 boys, they are under 13. Under 13 will not able to carry the workload that the under 16 and the under 19 will be doing. So you have to structure your periodization in order to suit each category.
How important is formal training for coaches? Meaning whether you go to GC Foster or you do World Athletics certification, how important is that level of training for our coaches?
Very, very important. It is a great institution of GC Foster why I can speak to like how I'm speaking now. Let me take things to a different level, because when you are going through your workout, and for example, um, when the workload becomes very intense, right? All right, let me take it even a little back. Now, energy is the ability to do work, and so therefore the muscle will need energy in order to work. And so when an athlete is going through his training routine, you have what is called lactic acid that is going to develop. This is where the athlete become fatigued, the muscle feels sore, and the body is saying, "No, coach, I don't like how I feel. This don't feel too right. This don't feel too good." And so you have to understand the whole mechanism, what is happening. And so therefore, what you have happening is that you have glycogen, which is stored inside the liver and inside the muscle, right? That is going to produce the energy for the muscle to do the work. Now, once the glycogen is released, then you're going to have what is called ATP and ADP, which is adenosine triphosphate and adenosine diphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate, I see the expression on your face. The adenosine triphosphate convert the adenosine diphosphate, right, into this energy, right? And as soon as the energy is being utilized, the muscle go into what you call oxygen depth. That is when the muscle becomes starved of oxygen, and so you start to feel fatigue. But the ADP act like a rechargeable battery that when it reaches to that stage, now it now convert back to ATP, and the procedure start all over again. Let me make it a little simple. It's almost like what you call the double circulation of the heart. In other words, the arteries will take blood away from the heart, right? And it will take oxygenated blood from the heart to the various system of the body, the muscular system, digestive system, respiratory system. So the arteries is going to take the oxygenated blood to this system, and then the vein is going to take back the deoxygenated blood back to the heart, and in order to start the cycle again. So that's a similar routine to the ATP and the ADP in terms of carrying the energy to the muscle, right? And when the lactic acid start to produce itself, the ADP now convert back to ATP to start back over the entire procedure.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
So, so,
Amazing.
so if you are not a student of the sport in terms of achieving a level in terms of your academics where sport is concerned, you are going to have challenges, because the when lactic acid start to form, you have to know how to schedule your workload in such a way so you do not have, while you're overloading, you're not overtraining.
There is coaching on the pitch outside. Is there coaching in the classroom? Like to explain all of what you're saying, all the things that you have said and the different acronyms. Is there coaching in the classroom to teach the athletes about their body, what is required, what is going to happen, and all of what you just said?
It's a collaboration of the physical and the theoretical aspect. As I said, each is interdependent in order for the athlete to do well. And so inside of the classroom, you have the theoretical component, and even students who are preparing for CAPE and students who are preparing for CXC, they have to do all the systems. You have to understand how the body work. You have to understand, for example, the effects of exercise on the cardiovascular system. Not only do you have short-term effects, but you have long-term effects. And one of the simpler way, for example, I will be teaching a class and I will say to the student, what is the short-term effects of exercise on the cardiovascular system? And they will struggle. And I will say, run, go outside and run, come back inside. And when they run, go out and come back, they are breathing heavily. So I say, so what is the short term? And they will say, heart rate increases. So you have ways and means to get the students to answer the question and to bring it out of them. But as you go along and be consistent in training, then you also have the long-term effect of exercise. So for example, the art of muscle. So you have what is called the cardiac muscle. So the muscles of the heart become stronger, bigger, and stronger. And this is called muscular hypertrophy, with the heart becoming bigger and stronger. So there's a lot. Physical education teachers are bright people.
I see that. I am seeing that. No, I mean, a lot of us are under the impression that PE teachers just come, take you outside, blow the whistle, you run, and that's it. But
No, 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 no. For
this is impressive.
No, 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 no. PE teacher are bright people. If I bend my elbow, muscles work in pair. When one contract, the other one relaxes. Which muscle causes my elbow joint to bend? It's the bicep muscle that causes it to contract, while the tricep muscle causes it to relax. When I extend, then the tricep causes it to contract and the bicep causes it to relax. You have to know these things. And the same thing with the hamstring, the quadriceps, they work in pairs.
Wow. Wow. Someone is saying, Tora, welcome, Tora. Tora is saying, take them back to school. Indeed, we are in the classroom. Coach have us in the classroom. It is impressive and I love information. Of course, most of this I will not remember, but I love the knowledge. But let me ask you something, Coach. A few months ago, I had two coaches on this panel and they said something very interesting. They said the more muscles you have, the more oxygen you need to run. Can you explain that a little bit for me?
I'm not sure what they are saying when they are saying the more muscle,
Mhm.
because everybody have the same amount of muscle, So I'm
We
not
do?
sure.
We
Uh,
all have the same, hold on, coach. We all have the same amount of muscle?
yes, everybody have the same amount of muscle.
No, coach, your muscle's bigger than mine. So
No,
how are the
there's a difference between more and size. So I am physically involved. So therefore, I'm going to go to what is called muscle hypertrophy. My muscles will be bigger and stronger. So I think what they are trying to say, the bigger and stronger your muscles are, then the more your muscles will be able to do the hard work. But it
interesting?
cannot be that we are saying one person have more muscles than the other. God don't make us like that. God is not biased towards anybody. Give us all the same amount of muscles. What you do with the muscle will determine how effective and efficient you are as an athlete.
Maybe, yeah, I like what you just said. It is not a case of more, but bigger.
Bigger
No,
and
that's
stronger. Whatever
bigger
you
and
do with it, because one of the things what a lot of people do not understand, the body is an amazing machine, and
indeed.
whatever you do with it, the body, whatever you teach it to do, it will do it.
But you know the part I don't like, coach. I'm one of those people who I work out like 4 to 5 days every week. But you said something just now that you can be working out for a year or two and you like how your body feel and the definition that you're getting in your arm. But if you stop working out for a few weeks, it's like you never did anything before.
Yeah, because the principle tell you that fitness cannot be stored for future use. So, It is called
That's not cool.
it is called principle of reversibility. You know, you also have principle of undulatory changes. Principle of undulatory changes is telling you that when you are coaching an athlete, to ensure that you are not overtraining, then undulatory, as the word suggests, is a wave-like action in terms of your training method. So you use heavy, medium, and light workload in order to achieve the objective that you so desired.
How much focus do you put on mental readiness? I've heard a lot that sports is 90% mental. How much focus do you put on mental readiness?
That's a tough one because this is one of the things that coaches cannot actually give the athlete. The important thing, you can encourage, you can motivate, but athletes have to develop this kind of tenacity in order to compete. You will have athletes who do well in training and do well in minor meets, but when it comes to the big moment, you have a thing that is called audience and athlete. And so the moment that they see this big crowd, and the adrenaline start to flow. If you do not know how to control that adrenaline and to learn that it is a natural part of the entire makeup when you are going to compete, you are going to have problems. So one of the things that I do is to encourage, to motivate, and to educate the athletes of the various things that is likely to happen when you are in competition. If they are aware that whatever is happening to, oh, coach, tell me about this, I need to control this, it put them into a better position and give them an advantage.
Wow, you are a data bank. Marlon Walker is saying, teach them. Indeed, Marlon, he is teaching us. He is educating us, and I hope the young coaches will watch this video if they're not here tonight. This is a video that young coaches need to watch. Coach, you you have coached in different sporting disciplines, football, track and field, but you have coached at some of the top high schools in Jamaica. And when I was doing my research, I discovered that before you moved on to and make your name, well, make your name in track and field at Monroe College, you coached at Clarendon College. Tell me a little bit about your journey at Clarendon College after you left college.
Well, Clarendon College was the first institution that I taught after leaving GC Foster College. And interestingly though, because I was born in Kingston, I always wanted to teach at one of the Kingston schools. And so there was an opportunity for me to teach at Bethlehem Teachers College. My principal at the time realized that my ability is one such that I could be teaching inside of the tertiary institution. But I said to her, Lydia Malcolm was the principal at the time, and I said to her, I don't want to teach in the country, and she did everything to get me to teach at Bethlehem. I said, no, I don't want to teach in the country. But when you have a passion for sports, because here is another opportunity that presents itself. John Green, who is from England and was lecturing us in football, said, Neil, you're a very good football coach. Clarendon College is in need of a football coach and you need to go. And I grabbed the opportunity, So I grabbed the opportunity and I went to Clarendon College and I started with the Costa Cup football. And I was the youngest coach ever to win the Costa Cup. 1991, we won the Costa Cup, so
Mhm.
I am grateful.
And that was my next question to you. Track and field, a lot of people, I'm going to be honest with you. I discovered you in track and field, through track and field at Monroe College at the time. But when I was doing my research, I said the Costa Cup champion. Are we talking about the same Neil Harrison? Take us back to 1991 season or leading up to 1991 season when you won the Costa Cup, when you were crowned champion with CC.
Wow. That's quite a long time,
I know, right?
but I can remember doing an interview with I think it was Ian Andrews at the time, when we won the Costa Cup, and when he asked me how am I feeling, and I can remember exactly what I said to him at the time. I was saying by nature I'm 5 feet 10 inches, but this afternoon I'm feeling like 10 feet 5 inches. The feeling was ecstatic. I words could not explain, because I was very young at the time. The team itself was very young, because the season before, Clarendon College went to the final with Rossies. We have a star-studded team. We lost 2-1, and so the team was depleted, and we were now left with only one player from the previous year. So it was pretty much a team that is coming from the under 16 competition that we started to train and to develop where this competition is concerned. The beauty about it, we established a very good relationship from the get-go. And one of the things I learned as a coach, when athletes love you, they will do everything to ensure that you're okay. And so I'm a people kind of a person. I always establish a good relationship with my athletes. I'm not only a coach, I play a multiplicity role. I'm a father, I'm an uncle, I'm a big brother. And so whatever their needs are, I try to help them to achieve it as best as possible. My approach is always a holistic approach. It is not just only about sports, but it's also about life. And that is always my approach. And so as a result, I've always have a good relationship with my athletes. And so therefore, when it's time to defend Neil Harrison, they are going to defend Neil Harrison.
Yes, I love that. I love that, coach. But before we go any further, I see something in the comment section that I have to touch on. Marlon Walker is saying he's saying something about St. George's College Manning Cup team. Tell me about that, coach.
Yes. Okay. So my journey from Clarendon College led me to St. George's College, and I leave Clarendon College because at the time, I was engaged. My wife was working at NCB, National Commercial Bank, in King Street, and so therefore I figure more or less if my future wife is in Kingston, then I need to be closer to her. Hence, I journey from St. George's College, from Clarendon College to St. George's College. And during my time there, I was the head of the physical education program. I was coaching track and field, then assisted Mr. Vinton Powell at the time. But during that time, Bertis Bell, who is always the coach for St. George's College, at the time he had national duties and was unable to lead the Manning Cup charges. And so the team was turned over to me. During that time, Charlie Smith was the team to beat. They were beating everybody 16-0, 12. It was always big score. And then we went to final with Charlie Smith, and everybody was saying that, boy, we don't know you're going to manage. They beat everybody 12, they beat everybody 6, and that kind of a thing. But we went to the final, and the score ended 2-1 in terms of Charlie Smith favor.
Wow, awesome. Marlon Walker is giving me a lot of information tonight. I don't even have to use my script. He's saying, I remember that match with Camperdown. Tell me about that match with Camperdown with you at the head.
Boy, I maybe Marlon need to tell you, because I can't even
You
remember.
can't remember, right?
It is so much. But the truth is, I've never been to an institution and not performed.
Awesome, awesome. And that is exactly what we need. But going back quickly to the DaCosta Cup that you won 1991 with Clarendon College, do you remember the team that you played in the final?
Herbert Morrison, the score was 2-1.
Wow, Robert Morrison. Monroe. How and when did Monroe come into the picture?
Well, pretty much while at St. George's College, I did my diploma first and then went on to teaching. So while I was at St. George's College, I took 1 year in order to do my bachelor's. And during that time, I remember I was sitting an exam at GC Foster when the lecturer told me that there are some gentlemen outside who need to speak with me when I'm through with my exam. And when the exam was completed, when I went outside, they introduced themselves as chairman of the board, this of the board, that of the board of Monroe College, and they need somebody to to help with the development of sports at Monroe College, and they think that I am the person for the job and that kind of a thing. And I said, interesting, you know. Then they took me to Monroe College to see what the school is like, what the environment is like. At that time, I actually said no because it was severely cold. The environment was severely cold. Then they would not relent, and so they they went in search for my wife. I don't know, they know all of these information, where she worked, that kind of a thing. They took her down there, they took my son as well, and they love it. My wife always liked the cool environment, and so she said this is the kind of environment she would prefer to live in. And then, like any husband would do, you tend to support your wife, and that's how I end up there.
I noticed that you follow your wife around a lot. From country to Kingston, then from Kingston back to country. I like that. Generally, it's the women who follow the men, but you change the whole dynamic of the thing. I
Well,
like.
we have a pretty we have a pretty good relationship. She is very
Oh,
understanding. The nature of my work is of such that on many occasions I'm around, but I'm not around. But she do understand the nature of the work, and she support me tremendously. And so I am grateful for the opportunity. I'm up to blessed with someone who love me and will do anything to ensure that I do well.
Monroe is one of the oldest and top boys schools in Jamaica. They have a rich legacy in champs. They won boys champs 8 times. You spent 14 years there at Monroe. This is a big part of your legacy. Uh, Tell me a little bit about working with the track and field team at Monroe, putting Monroe on the map. I mean, Monroe was like every year Monroe comes to champs is like they're challenging, they're doing stuff, and you did a great job with the quarter mile, the 400.
Ah, well, Monroe, during the time the team was very small, and so
Mm-hmm.
um, I decided that we cannot win champs, but you have to set yourself some goals and some objectives, some parameters. And so I decided, all right, we cannot win champs, so I wanted to produce quality athletes, and one of my objectives was hoping that the quality would place us into the top five. And so during my tenure at Monroe, we were always in the top five. Now, one of the things that I pride myself with is that I I I'm at an institution, Monroe College. We cannot win champs, but I need to ensure that there is a signature that is attached to Monroe College. And this is when I start to say, I look at champs and I said, okay, the 4x4 is always the event that is closing champs. Since I cannot win champs, I want to take the curtains down. And so I started to develop 4x4 teams to ensure that whenever I'm at champs, I will always be the one remember to close in the show. And to some extent, every time that I try to achieve this, it always happen. And so people, as a result of that, know me for the 4x4. But where coaching is concerned, I basically can coach anything on the track, from the 100 to the 800, 1500. I can, but when you are in a big team like a KC, a JC, a Calabar, then you have to specialize to ensure that you are taking care of the various discipline, because it's a bigger group. But when I'm at Monroe, I literally coach everything.
Wow. How do you identify the talents that you nurture? How do you identify someone and pull them in on your track team?
Okay, so you have what we call somata type, which is your
Say that again, coach. What a time?
somata type, which is your body type, right? So you have endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph, right? So these are the different body types, whether you are big and fat, whether you are slim, whether you are muscular, and that kind of a thing. So you look at the various body types of the individuals within your school, and then based on the body type, you said, okay, for example, when we talk about ectomorphic body type is somebody who is very, very slim, and generally the people who are very slim, they are the ones who gravitate towards the middle and long distance, or they are the ones who gravitate towards, for example, high jump, and so you look at that, look at the various body type, and to fit them according to the event that you see best suited for such body type.
Wow. One track hero is saying Kemar Mowat said Coach Harrison wanted to win the 4x4 every year, and nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. Coach, no, it is said that no one no better than Yard. And you said you didn't like coaching in the country, but of course, you've been to the countryside or what we call rural Jamaica, but you were back in Kingston 4 years at Kingston College. How did that switch or that change come about for you from Monroe to Kingston College?
So teaching and coaching at Monroe, I was doing very well. You know, as I said, the Monroe team was a very small team, but we were quality. And whenever we touch a national stadium, it is problem between Monroe, KC, JC, Calabar. We fear no one. We respect no one. You know, sometimes when you are a small school, a country school, and you go to Kingston, you give the Kingston team so much respect. I inculcated in my athletes, nobody's better than you. You know, we are training just like everybody else, and I kind of instill that into them. And so we were very small, but we were ambitious, and our aim as a country school at the time was to ensure that when we go into Kingston, Calabar, KC, JC, dead. That was always our aim, you know. And
I
so
love it.
when we go to champs, you know, you could see the kind of tenacity that is coming from Monroe College. We were fearless, you know, and even though we are not winning champs, there were big moments and big events that KC, JC, Calabar would want to win, and they have to just wish they could. And so doing that well in the institution, I was sought by Kingston College. It was a tough choice, but I eventually made the choice, and I went to Kingston College. I did what I could. For 4 years we came second, but I can recall quite vividly the year before I went to Kingston College, they lost to Calabar by 91 points. My first year at Calabar at JC at KC, we lost to Calabar by 15 points. And then eventually we lost to Calabar by 3 points. To Calabar
Wow.
by 3 points. And
Oh,
so
that. Go ahead, coach. Go ahead. Go
yes,
ahead.
so
Sorry.
we lost to Calabar by 3 points. So it was 4 very good years. But one of the things I noticed with the big school is that when you're a winner, you have many mothers and father. When you're a loser, you become an orphan. And so if winning is
Yeah.
the only yardstick by which success is measured, then such is life.
Yes, I totally agree. When a team is winning, the athletes are praised, and when they're losing, it is the coaches that everybody come at. But before we go any further, Singer Right is saying, but Jamaica is king. Stop it, Singer Right. If you're just joining us, we're having a very interesting, a very entertaining, and a very educating discussion with Coach Neil Harrison, one of Jamaica High School top coaches in my book, not just in track and field, but also in football. So if you're just joining us, welcome, whether you're joining from Africa, Asia, Antarctica, North America, South America, Oceanic, wherever you're coming from, Europe, welcome, welcome each and every one. Coach, I want to go back to 2017 champs.
Interesting.
20, yes, that champs. 2017 champs. I was at the stadium. I went with a lot of people, but I went with a friend of mine. He's a KC old boy, and we went together. So he was in his colors, I was in my colors. But Kingston College was leading by 4 points going into the 4x400 meters relay. Now, I go to champs with my pen and my paper, my pencil and my paper, and let us do some maths here. Kingston College was leading by 4 points, leading Calabar by 4 points, and it was down to the 4x4. Now, Calabar won the 4x4, which was 12 points for the information for you guys. Kingston College needed to finish ahead of Calabar or are
In
no
the top
less
three, or in the top
right,
three.
right, are no less than two teams behind Calabar. Now, second place, if Kingston College had finished second place, they would have gotten 14 points and win champs by two. If they had finished third, they would have gotten 8 points and with
Win chance
12
one.
with 12 points, and they would have tied with Calabar.
Right.
Kingston College finished fifth in that 4x4, which gives them 5 points on the four that they had, which was nine. Calabar won, as you said, by
Three.
3 points. This is part of championship. This is how championship go. We the fans, we love it. But can you? I just want you to relive that night a little bit. Champs 2017. A matter of fact, before you even relived it, the person that I went to Champs with, as I said, he's a KC old boy. He left me in the stadium. I had to find my way home. So
Wow.
yeah, he just went missing, and I had to find my way home. He was my driver, and he left me in the stadium because he was distraught. But relive that night, coach. What happened? I've never really seen Kingston College finish that low in a 4x4, especially on a champs night. What
I
happened
am
that night?
I am not even sure if I want to open up a can of worms. That night, it was one of the most distraught night for me as a coach as well. And I think we would have won champs from the Friday night had Mattison not picked in that 100 meters, because Mattison was a favorite in that event. And
Yes,
worst case scenario, second or third, and would have win the champs from Friday night. However, it boils down to the 4x4, and our captain, Kerry McLeod, I will never forget it, refused to run in the 4x4 finals. And we had one and two injuries in the championship. Kerry would have been a perfect fit. At Kerry run, we would have win the championship. Um, he was like a 47 quarter miler, and we end up using a 50-point quarter miler because Carey, the captain, who should have stepped up to the plate and ensured that the team delivered, he did not. But such is life. But I think it was even more than that, because things got a little bit political. If I could take you way back to the old scenario with Harry Rogers coming from Africa, you know,
yes, sir.
so
Yes.
a lot of schools were disgruntled in terms of him getting the opportunity to compete because he arrived late. And so there was a waiver. And so schools were disgruntled. So in the 4x4, the other schools, they huddled together to ensure that we are going to ensure that KC do not win this championship because of
But
this.
coach, is that a fair statement though? Because Jamaica College had a very good team. Tex had a very good team with Ryan Butler and Giovanni James, who had won their individual event. St. Jago had a very good team. So
Listen,
I think,
Listen, anything that I'm saying you, I'm not asking, I'm not guessing you, I'm just telling you as it is. Up to last night, we have this conversation with athletes during that tenure, from Stets, from JC, from KC, from Calabar. It was all boiled down to the fact that we did not feel justified that Ari should run. KC will not win these champs. Whatever it takes for KC to win these champs, to lose these champs, we are going to do it.
but Rogers did run because he ran in the 1500, which he was
Oh,
defeated by Kevroy Benson, and
mhm.
he ran in the 5,000 meters,
It,
which he
it's
won.
it's not about the event that Rogers take part in. I'm saying when it boiled down to the 4x4 and they realize that here's an opportunity for KC to win, we are going to do whatever it takes for KC not to win because we feel cheated by Rogers running.
Boy, I don't know if the other schools come together
I
because,
am not, I am not asking you, I am telling you that it happened. I'm not asking. I'm telling you that it happened. We had this
but,
conversation up to yesterday while I was marking
but
CNC.
coach, you just said that your strongest team did not run. Tex had a
No,
super team.
I am saying the strongest team did not run. But if you watch back that tape and to see what
I've
happened,
watched it so
and
many
and
times.
Just watch it again after you come off this program and to see what
Okay, I will.
and to see what happened on the second leg. Then you will understand where I'm coming from.
I'm going to watch it again. I'm going
All
to
right.
watch that race again because let me tell you, Coach, I was shocked.
In
I
fact,
was
in
shocked that
teams
Kingston College
huddled in the
finished
Marshall,
fifth.
teams huddled in the Marshalling era before that event. Whatever happened, KC must not win champs. I'm not asking, I'm telling you.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
there. I was the head coach. I was there. I'm speaking facts.
Hmm. Wow. Whew. I was in awe. I'm going to be honest with you. I was in awe that Kingston College could not, because I was saying, okay, when I was tallying, my friends were saying, okay, HV, if KC finished third, what happened? And I said, KC finished third, then champs tied. So the trophy would be sharing, but
It would not be shared either.
why not?
You
Gold
would
medals,
you would
gold
use
medal.
you'd go back to see which one of the school win the most gold medals, and then that would differentiate the winner.
I think it would be better to share it. 6 months at 61 and 6 months at North Street. But that's very interesting, coach, that you're saying the rest of teams
Yeah, man, it
basically
happened. It
gang up
happened.
on.
As coaches, we even joke about it on a daily basis because at the end of the day, we are still friends.
Wow,
We are
wow,
still friends.
wow.
You know,
That
I
was,
mean, it, this is history. It is already gone.
yes,
And
yes, yes.
I am the kind of coach who pretty much who put things behind me and move forward.
Yeah, we have to. We have to. We have. But let me tell you something, Coach. I've always wanted to ask you about that night because I was there in the grandstand, and I'm going to be honest with you. My heart broke for Kingston College that they could not finish
And
even
I think
third.
I think sometimes destiny is just destiny because all right, we finished fifth in the 4x4 at champs, but we won it at Gibson, so it's not like we didn't have a very strong 4x4.
Was it the same team that you ran at, chat?
Minus one athlete. Minus
Minus
one
one.
athlete.
Wow, very interesting. That chance with, but as you said, I'm going to go back and watch the video. I'm going to watch that 4x4 for guys. For those of you who wants to watch, it is the 4x4 100-meter relay for boys 2017 champs. I really want to go back and look because I think that Stet's had a good team. Jamaica College was firing. Jago was firing. Calabar,
We
who
are
won
not
it.
disputing the fact that those teams were very good teams, but
Mhm.
they were the same teams that run at the Gibson Relay that KC defeated. We are saying that situation presented itself whereby those very good teams and now saying whatever happens with this 4x4, Kingston College 2017 must not win champs.
Wow. And you left with a broken heart.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, it's hurt, and like life is pretty much like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even like when you said take us back to 2017. It pains my heart, but such is life.
I'm sorry, coach, but
No,
I
man, it's good.
really,
It's quite good. It's quite good. It's
let
quite
me
good.
tell you, for
Tough luck
years,
nonetheless.
I've wanted, even before I started this podcast, because let me tell you, I was in shock. I was in the stands with my mouth open. I was like, what just happened?
Yes.
But it is all, it's champs all over, the heartbreak, the joy, the love and stuff. But you were a man on a mission because in no time you were at Hold Up Road. I mean, the man is on a mission. Your legacy is your legacy is steamy. Tell me about JC.
Okay, so as I said before, when you're a winner, you have many mothers and fathers. When you're a
Yeah.
loser, then you becomes an orphan. And
Yeah.
so I think more so, I think I have a very good relationship with the staff at Kingston College, but the spectator were quite upset. Things got a little bit ugly to some extent, and so I I thought that it is now time for me to move on, and so I move on to Jamaica College. My first year at Jamaica College, the team finished third. That is where they have been finishing for a number of years. But after learning the team, the following year, I think we were second. So in essence, I spent 6 years at Jamaica College. We were one third, four second, and we won in 2021.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
So
Another.
the moment I went to Jamaica College, Champs now was a JCKC rather than a KC Calabar. And I left in 1 year, and it is now back to KC Calabar
Wow, 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 wow.
because
You're
they finished third and a distant third by 80 points to KC and Calabar.
this year.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep. And guys, I must tell you a little story. Welcome, welcome everyone. Let's see what some of the comments are. And I must tell you how I met Coach Harrison. I love to talk how I meet people. I was at Champs this year and I was at the warm-up field. And I saw him. Of course, I know a lot of people in track and field, even though they don't know me. And I just walk up to him and I said, "Hi, Coach Harrison. I would like to have a talk with you." And he just said yes and gave me his number. No fuss, no stress. He just said, "Yeah, sure." And he gave me his number. And here we are tonight. So he was approachable. I just introduced myself and he said, "Okay." And he gave me his number. But let us just look at some of the comments. Thank you guys for rejoining. And as I said before, this discussion is very educating, very entertaining, and of course, enlightening. Lily Hodges, three-time Olympia, 1972, 76, and the 1980 is here with us. My friend Akia from Trinidad is in the building. Trinidad is in the building. Of course. Let me see. Okay, Singer Wright is saying Monroe was never really seen as the typical country school because of the prestige. Of course, I totally agree. On the run, management, events management. Welcome, 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 each and everyone, welcome. Uh, Singer Wright is saying, Heidel and Edwin Allen ended the Veer and St. Jago dominance. I think it's time for JC and KC dominance to end. Oh my God. Well, to be fair, Singer Wright, it wasn't Heidel and Edwin that ended Veer's dominance. It was actually
Home,
Manchester and Homewood
home,
technical that, yes, especially Homewood with 9 titles back to back to back to back. And then, of course, they got their 10th. So, and I have some Veer people who follow this show, and I would love to see a team like Veer come back to the party. But back to you, coach, the man of the hour. Um, Jamaica College, you won champs, the COVID champs in style. Tell me about that victory.
Uh, pretty much, it was a rough year because it was right after COVID,
Mm-hmm.
or you can call it post COVID, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yep.
And so we realized that the COVID here, we had a very good team, and we thought that that team would have been a team that would have give KC a run for their money, and we would be retaining the same team the following year. And so while we realized that COVID was a factor, then what we did was to ensure that we keep that team together. So on campus we had every single persons. We had a very good management team, and we put structures and organize and put things in place, and it worked very 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 well for us. It was a difficult one because at some one point you would have thought that we wouldn't have any champs. I think champs put up maybe 2 or 3 times that year, you know. But we really stood to the task, You know, the athletes were relentless. We were committed. We were dedicated, and we were saying once you have a chance, then Jamaica College is going to win this championship. And it was a beautiful year for us.
As you said before, the champs was postponed. It was, to me, champs was decided on at the last minute. How were you able to keep your athletes fully fit and ready to take on that champs?
It was a very tough one, but I think at the time we had a very good management team, and so it was the management of the athlete that made the difference. There were times when the athletes feel like they want to give up, but we had a lot of meetings with them. We brought in professionals to talk to them, because boys don't like confinement and they have been in a particular space for a very long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put a plan in action and you are committed to the plan, and the kind of approach that the management and the coaching staff took, the boys were very appreciative, and I think they were very committed to the task. And I think the disappointment of not running the year before 2020, was what held them, all the way to 2021.
The How much did the experience at Clarendon College, Monroe, St. George's, Kingston College, how many of that experience helped you to get to this championship in 2021? How much did you learn that you were able to inject in this championship?
I do believe that life teach you lessons, and as you grow older, you know, you gain more experience. So when you have the experience plus the knowledge is actually a plus for you. And when you move from one school to the next, you are experiencing different culture, you are experiencing different characteristics of individuals, and so it's a learning curve and a learning process for you, and you try to use them to the best of your ability.
Indeed, Coach. We're going to look at some of Coach achievement, just some of them, not a lot, because it is a lot. Coach, you are a graduate of a physical education graduate at from Foster College of Physical Education. You coach track and field and football at Clarendon College. You coach Monroe College for 14 years from 1997. Clarendon College, you started 1989. Kingston College, 4 years from 2013. Jamaica College, 6 years from 2019. Presently, you're back in the West at St. Elizabeth Technical. You're a DaCosta Cup champion in 1991, Boys Champs champion 2021. The only coach to ever achieve something like this, champs and DaCosta Cup. You've also coached outside of Jamaica in the Turks and Caicos. What a legacy. Nowhere like the West. How did Stets? You are back in the West. Tell us about Stets.
It's a wonderful institution.
Is this your final stop?
I I hope so. It's a wonderful institution. I'm not a stranger to the parish. As I said, 14 years at Monroe College, and Monroe and Sets, we were always rivals. So I'm not a stranger to St. Elizabeth Technical High School. In fact, the relationship that I have with the principal is actually a Monroe past student, and so we were friends, or we are friends, and so leaving, when the news broke that I was leaving Jamaica College, he touched base with me, and expressed an interest. At this point, I had about 10 choices, but I mean, they said there's nowhere like home, and I think since St. Elizabeth is pretty much home, and it's an institution whereby um, with a strong sports background, strong academic background, a principal that have the passion for the sports. He's also the president of ISA. What better place would you want to be?
Indeed, indeed. And Steph is well accomplished in track and field because when you look at the Olympians that they have produced, we're talking about Bridget Foster Hilton, Dennis Blake, Diane Guthrie, Dinsdale Morgan, Ian Weekly, Junelle Bromfield, Kemar Mowat, Leonardo Legister, Mark Sr., Ronald Levy, Sharika Williams, Stacey Williams, and the outstanding Winthrop Graham. How do you use this legacy to fuel your young athletes to aspire to go just as far?
It is very important that they are not only athletes, but they are students of the sports and they are aware of their legacy. And so from time to time, I would speak to them about the athletes of the past. I will also show them videos, of the athletes of the past, and this is always very enriching, very motivating, and things like that. In fact, the athletes is of such that they themselves did their own research where I am concerned, and so when they did their research and they come up with their evaluation, it makes life a little bit easier because they are very much aware of my rich history. And so while the environment here is very hot because Santa Cruz is very, very hot, but the hospitality here is so far very, very warm.
Awesome, awesome. How do you keep these are babies, these are children. How do you keep them motivated when there are setbacks, whether injuries or they did not perform as expected, pressure? How are you able to keep them focused mentally?
Well, life have its ups and downs, and you have to very much aware that life does not always go the way that you want it to go. And one of the things about life is that there are going to be times when you will fall, and nothing is wrong with falling. What is bad about falling is if you stay down. When you fall, you must always learn to get back up and give it another try.
Yep. Challenges. What are some of the challenges that you faced in your career? You don't have to tell me all of them. Just a few of the major ones that you've faced, and how were you able to overcome?
Well, I have taught at some big schools, and as I said before, when you're a winner, you have many mothers and fathers. I will not come off that. You
With
know,
that said,
the thing thing is, if winning is the only yardstick by which success is measured, then I have a problem with that.
yeah, indeed. Believe me, I know exactly what you are saying. Team dynamics. How are you able to build a positive team culture, communication skills, leadership development? How important is that to you as a coach?
It is very important because one of the thing about coaching is that you may be the leader of the ship, but teamwork is very important. You cannot achieve success all by yourself, so you have to be a team player. So your support staff will have a tremendous role in order to assist you in achieving your goals and your aims and your objective. And when you have a very good support staff, and you have a principal who have the love and the passion for the sport, I think it makes life a bit easier for you.
Sounds good to me. What can we expect from the Stats team in the next few seasons? Championship?
They
Are you under any pressure though to win boys champs?
unless I intend to pressure myself, because
Okay.
I set myself high standards. But the thing is, I don't think I'm under any pressure. Yes, I have my own standards, I have my own aims and my own objectives, and I will do whatever it takes to achieve it to the best of my ability. I do believe that the States team is on a rebuilding path, and once we work together in unity, I think we will achieve our desired aim and objectives.
Totally agree with that. Coach, I see a lot of schools struggling. Sports is very expensive in Jamaica. To maintain a team is very, very expensive. How can we, as a people, as a country, help to sustain the schools program? Because we've seen so many programs that was doing so well over the years, 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Now they are struggling. How can we help each other to sustain their program?
I think a school cannot function effectively and efficiently without its community. So the community have a pivotal role in order to play in order for the success of any institution. And so the Parent Teachers Association, the old girls, the old boys will have to play a very pivotal role in order to assist in the development of the sport. We are in an education time whereby you really don't get much from the Ministry of Education or from the government in order to sustain and to develop the sporting program. And so, therefore, the schools that really have a passion for it, will need to kind of have a collaboration, or a collaborative effort in terms of how do we combine our different association to make things work.
Coach, we are producing athletes, student athletes on a rapid, because of coaches like you and others. How can we preserve these talents based on your experience and your knowledge? How can we preserve these talents so that they get to the next level if they want to go to the next level?
Ensure that winning is not the only criteria, by which you are preparing these athletes for. You have to think about their future. You, as a coach, you don't only think about winning championship, but you also must realize that the athletes themselves have goals, aims, and objective, and you must be cognizant of that fact.
Coach, I like the middle and the long distance, and I realize I realize that we do not have a home for our athletes who are leaving high school, who are 800 meters, 15, and so forth. How can we create a space, a home, to attract them the same way that we create sprinting homes?
That's a tough question because even in our institution, everybody want to be a Usain Bolt. Everybody want to run. Everybody want to run fast, And so I think definitely that one, we have to take our athletes through an educational program as well. Because what I do aware is that everybody want to do the event that they like and not the event that like them. And so we have to look at it from that perspective, and to see how much we can encourage, motivate, and get them to actually buy into the event itself. It's tough, and we are in an environment whereby it, the showcase is the sprinting. The 100-meter final at Champs is the blue ribbon event, and so everybody want to do the 100, to do the 200, but you have to find ways and means. It's going to be tough, but we need to find ways and means in which we can own and to develop and to culture these athletes into letting them understand that life is what you make it. And if you, as I said before, a man is a slave to what he sees is good for him. And if you think that the 800, the 1500, the 5000, the 3000, is up your street, then you just have to work to the best of your ability in order to achieve the desired goal.
Coach, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think we're losing these athletes because there's no place for them. There's no place for them to go. We now have most of our athletes training in Jamaica. If a high schooler comes to you and said, Coach, I want to stay in Jamaica and train, I am an 800 athlete. Which club should I go? What would you tell that athlete, coach? Which club would you recommend that athlete go? I'm running the 800 and I want to stay in Jamaica. I want to stay in my country. Where do I go to train?
School challenge question pass.
I
It's
love that.
reality.
Even it's a
It's
reality.
reality. It's a
I and I
reality.
and I totally agree with you. It is the reality. There's nowhere for them to go. So what they do, sometimes some of them step down to the 400, not good enough, and of course age phase them out, or they just give up. I think we need, and coach, I need you with me. And my next question to you, coach, is going to be, have you ever thought about professional training, coaching professionally? And if you say yes, I want you to think about the middle and long distance.
It's it's always my dream, and I have coached some very very good quarter milers
I know.
who would say to me in high schools, coach, I want to go pro, and I say, okay, I will help you. And the moment they run fast, then because you're an high school coach, you do not have the resources that the other institution, the racers, the MVP, then they gravitate towards the more prestigious clubs.
That is why, coach, you will have to go the middle and long distance because they won't have anywhere to leave and go.
Food,
They will.
food for thought.
Yes, think about it, coach. It's something I really want to be involved in because I realize that we're watching champs. We've seen so many outstanding middle and long distance athletes, and then after that, we just don't see them anymore because there's nowhere for them to go. Okay, so on the run asked the same question I just asked. He said, has Neil ever considered making the move to coach professional athletes? Somebody else is asking, coach. Thank you for that on the run. Coach, are you there? All right, I think Coach Internet is buffering this time. It's not me, but this is a very interesting, conversation discussion. I like to have these discussion because there's information that can help us to improve our legacy, whether the high school legacy, whether the pro legacy. There is,
And as I
and there
said,
is.
a numerical high school because you're
Okay, so coach is trying to reconnect, but I think his internet is interrupting us. I don't know why this is happening. But guys, as I said before, a very interesting conversation that we are having, very entertaining, and thank you guys all for the comment. One track hero is saying in sports need to introduce 800 for each class at the primary level. That will force schools to find people to participate. And I totally agree with you, one track hero. But the thing is that we do have them at the high school level, even if we don't have the primary level. But I totally, okay, we just lost Coach Harrison there. Hopefully he will rejoin us. But this discussion about the middle and long distance, it continues, and it is a conversation that I am going to be having until I die. Yes, because we have the talent, we just need to create a home for them. And I'm going to say this publicly. I am trying to find somebody to collaborate with me so that we can provide a home for our middle and long distance. Because for those of you who don't know, Jamaica won two medals in the 800 meters at the Olympic Games, 1948 and 1952, with one Dr. Arthur Wint. Yes, silver medal in the 800. 1948, the first time Jamaica participated in the Olympic Games, and of course, he repeated that 4 years later, 1952. So we can do it, but if there's no place for our athletes to go, then they are not going to, they might just walk away from the event. Singer Right is saying Steps could have won champs already. Problem is they all over the place instead of focusing on their strongest discipline. What is their strongest discipline, Singer Right? Because who remember that champs 2021 Steps won all the 100 meters for boys. Yes, Champs 2021, they won Class 3, Class 2, and of course, Class 1 with the outstanding schoolboy, Sachin Dennis. Or Sachin Dennis was Class 2. If he wasn't Class 1 at the time, he was Class 2. But that year, Steps won all the 100 meters at Champs. Let's see if Coach can reconnect with us. Um, let's see. One moment, guys. I don't know why tonight is a crazy night. Yes. So, okay. One track is also saying that is why it is important to multi-talented as an athlete. That's why I like Stex and Heidel, because their athletes are multi-talented. And you're right. I think Heidel is the boss when it comes on to multi-talented athletes. Okay, here we have Coach rejoining us, guys.
I think the
Thank you for.
power, we had a power cut.
Oh, you had a power cut. Okay, okay. I'm happy that you're back with us. Okay, let's go. Okay, okay, Coach, you want to fix your screen a little bit to show your face? Awesome, awesome. Yes. Right. So we were just talking, Coach, about and we're going to wrap up soon, about, the middle and long distance program. We need it. We need it. We need it. All right, Coach. My next question to you.
And
Are you hearing me, Coach?
yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, 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 guys. So Coach had a power cut, but he's back with us. All right, Coach. My next question to you is, what are your thoughts on the mixed 4x100 meter relay? We have the mixed 4x4. What are your thoughts on the mixed 4x1? You think we can win it?
I think so. It's sprinting. We are a sprinting country, and I think we have excellent female and male sprinters. So I strongly
All right, guys. We're having a little problem with Coach. He had a power cut, and of course, everything is interrupted.
feel that
Man, tonight is a good interview, and for some reason somebody is not giving us a break, but it
I'm
is
back.
what. Oh, you're back, Coach.
I don't know
Okay.
what is happening with the power.
Oh, the power keep going. Okay, all right. We're going to wrap up quickly, but just your thoughts on the 4x100 mixed relay that is newly introduced, and it is coming this year at championship.
It is right up our street. We have good male and female sprinters. It gives you another combination, and so more athletes will be involved. And I think we are a nation that enjoy the sprinting, so I think we will love the combination.
I hope so too. I like it. I like it very much. Coach, let us talk quickly about the false start. The false start is can be brutal. The
Yes,
false start can be brutal, Coach. I don't know even know what to say. This year at Champs, I think is the worst I've seen. The false start. I don't know if it was an official problem. I don't know if it was the equipment. I don't know, but it was very, very brutal. How were you affected? How was your team affected by the false start?
I think
If
we
you
have about three athletes that suffered from the false start, and at one stage I was wondering if it have something to do with how close the mic is to lane one, because it was a trend for us where once you're in lane one, you are the one who suffer the consequence. So I'm not sure what was happening, but we were affected.
Yeah, I think a lot of schools, so many, I've never seen so many children cry at one championship. Papine Boss, good night. Welcome, welcome. Boss is saying Jamaica take long to get accustomed to most new things. Why are we still losing the 4x4? That's a very good question. That is a very question, Papimbo. And it's not even about losing it. Why are we not doing better at it?
That's a
Coach?
question. That's a question for me.
Yeah, just a question. And if you want to piggyback on it, I'm not even sure why are we not doing well at the 4x4 mix, coach, in your opinion?
All right. So in my opinion, I
Mm.
think it's a combination that we choose. For example, if you look at the teams that are winning, look at the athletes that they are using. So I think I don't think the event is given much respect. You know, for one, you need to look at any medal that you win at the Olympics or at the World Championship. It's a quality medal, and I think we need to actually give the this event a little bit more respect. We our top quarter milers, they will just concentrate on running just the 400, or they just want to run the 4x4, and so not I don't think a lot of thought have been going into the mixed relays. Look at the countries that are performing. Fenka Ball, she run the flat four, the four hurdles, and she's into the mixed relays. So these countries are putting their best athletes forward. We are putting our maybe third string, fourth string. You are going to get some beating if you are doing that.
You said it perfectly, coach. Even before you elaborate, you said it perfectly. We do not respect the event, and it shows. We don't respect the event. And that's it. We should be featured on the podium every time that we go to a championship and win and run the mixed relay. And I'm not saying that to discredit any other team, but we have the talent. I don't think we really care about it. I mean, I don't even think we care about relay anymore. I don't even think we care about relay anymore.
I think the ability to work together as a team with the various clubs. I think we need to find some middle ground or some common ground in which we can come together to achieve the objective in order to win the relays. Relay is a technical event, and if you don't work together in order to execute the change effectively, you will have problems. It doesn't really matter how fast you are, how fast and efficient you can pass that stick around is what is going to make the difference. Let us look at a team like China. China don't have maybe have only one person, if any at all, in the 4x1. But when it comes down to, I mean, in the 100 meters, but when it comes to the 4x1, they are going to medal.
And it's the same thing with Japan. Japan keep
Exactly.
finding. Japan
Right.
is another team, very technical, and they don't have the speed and they don't have the sprinter talent that
Right.
we have.
But the kind of work that they put together with the four athletes that is going to execute the relay makes a big difference.
Big difference.
The changes, the speed of the button, is so well executed that, by the time they say reach, it is in their hand. And, it is just like poetry in motion with those teams. It takes a lot of teamwork to get that done.
Indeed, indeed. Coach, you have a very rich legacy. You have contributed a lot to Jamaica track and field legacy. What keeps you going?
The love and the passion for the sport, and a wife that is always supporting you.
With that said, guys, that is all you need, coach. That is all. Passion and someone that supports you and
And of course,
understands.
my children, wherever I go, they wear that color, regardless of whichever school. According to them, blood before anything else.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. JW is saying JW Sports is here with us tonight. Bless up, my friend. Bless up. Thank you for being here, Coach. We're going to play a little game quickly before we go. I want you to tell me something about you that we don't know, and then I'm going to tell you something about you. We're going to do that 2 times. So tell me
Oh,
something, tell us something about you that we don't know, and then I'm going to tell you something about you.
mm. Something about me that you don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a public figure, so I think that there's so much that you know about me that it's a bit difficult for me to say something that you really don't
Yes. Well, that is true, but I still want you to tell me some anything, whether it's a hobby or anything like that, something you like doing, it doesn't
know.
anything.
Okay, I enjoy watching TV. I will live at the TV.
Wow. What's your favorite movie? Or you don't have a favorite?
No, it's stuck on the sports channel.
Oh, sports. Okay, okay. All right. So, what I'm going to tell you about you is that you enjoy spending quiet time with your family.
Yes,
Is that true?
yes.
Awesome. It's your turn again.
Oh, you need another one.
Yes, another one, and then I give you one, and then we move to something else.
I enjoy traveling
Okay. Outside of spending time with family and coaching, you enjoy going to church.
very well said.
Wow, so I got 100%. Okay, I'm going to throw a group of things to you, and you're going to pick the one that you fancy more. Meat or seafood?
Mm.
Meat or seafood?
Seafood is too wide because the only seafood that I enjoy is fish.
So I guess it's fish then, right?
Yes,
Okay, awesome. Blackberry, Messenger, or WhatsApp?
WhatsApp,
What? Individual event or relay?
individual.
Football or track and field coaching?
That's tough because until now I'm not sure which one I prefer. I just know that I have the skills requisite to coach both, and I just enjoy doing both.
Suppose I said that I am going to pay you X amount to choose one. Which one would you choose?
Track
Which
and
one?
track and field because I think they are more disciplined than the football.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Gold medal or personal best?
It's always will go to the gold medal. But if you
Do
do your
you
personal best, I'm appreciative.
do you prefer for your athletes to get ice bath or a massage?
Ice bath,
Champs or pen relays?
champs.
Champs, I don't know. Champs win every time. Morning training or afternoon training?
It depends on what I want to achieve.
Wow. So which one are you going to choose? I'm paying you to choose one.
Well, if you're paying me to choose one, I will go with the afternoon. Why? Because it gives the students a little bit more time to prepare for school.
Work abroad or in Jamaica?
Jamaica win every time.
I love that, man. Hotmail or Yahoo Mail?
Yahoo.
Clarendon College or Monroe College?
That's a very, 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 very tough one. I love both. I really, and you can't pay me this time. There's no way you can pay me this time. And let me explain this one. You know, Clarendon College is the first institution that I have worked after leaving college, and I spent 14 years at Monroe College. You know, I met my wife in Clarendon. You know, so it's a tough call.
I can't pay you to choose, right?
To choose. I love both of them. There, I have a
And
spot. I do have a soft spot for both.
and that is fine. But here where we are now, Kingston College or Jamaica College.
Mm.
I am going to pay you to choose.
School challenge pass. one of
Woo!
the things, let me tell you, one of the things about me, as it relates to institution, I really don't throw stones behind me.
Yeah,
Regardless of whatever happened, I really don't throw stones behind me. You know, there are two great institutions, and regardless of whatever I'm at A or B, you know, I am eternally grateful for the experience.
I like that, coach. That's very, very, very mature. Kingston or St. Elizabeth or Clarendon?
I lived in Monroe and I like the weather, so I'll go with St. Elizabeth.
St. Elizabeth. Okay, St. Elizabeth over
And
your
it is the bread basket of Jamaica. And a question was asked to me in an interview before. You're accustomed to Jamaica College with a synthetic track. You're accustomed to Kingston College with a synthetic track. No, you are at St. Elizabeth and there is no synthetic track. My response is, we are the bread basket of Jamaica, and even our grass is very good.
woo! Coach full of lyrics, you know. Coach full of lyrics. But that is, coach, this discussion, even though we had some challenges, it is really informative, entertaining, educating, everything positive. Now, because over here I celebrate the legacy. So I wrote a poem for you, and this is new to my program. So you're going to be the first person to get it. So I wrote a poem for you,
Wow.
and it is called A Champion's Blueprint. In the heart of fields, both grass and gold, stands a coach whose story is proudly told. With whistle and vision, bold and wise, he lifted young dreams to touch the skies. On football turf, he carved his name in schoolboy glory. He rose to fame, a mastermind of strategy and might, guiding young warriors into the light. Then on to champs, the track's grand stage, where speed and strength break every cage. He led his team with resilience and grace to sprinting glory, first place in the race. Thank you very much, Coach Harrison, for your contribution to our rich legacy and, in developing our young people to become world beaters. Thank you very much for your contribution to the legacy. But before we go, coach, this is something I do. I give all my guests an opportunity to ask me one question. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask me a question. So while you're thinking about your question, I just want to say to everyone, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for sticking it out, even though we had some technical difficulties where I had to end the live and we had to come back to it. Thank you very much for rejoining. Thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting this cause. It is about Jamaica track and field legacy from the grassroots to Olympic glory. Thank you very much. Jessette Morrison, thank you for being here. And to everyone who joined us tonight, thank you. Tora, thank you. She said, well done, Neil. Indeed, he did an awesome job, especially in explaining about the science of the body and all those things that, I mean, a lot of it I don't remember, but it was very enlightening and very informative. Thank you very much. JW Sports is saying, big up, coach, bless up. I'm not sure if you know who that is, but he too is another podcaster from Jamaica doing great things, streaming and all of those fancy things. So, coach, I will allow you to go with your question now and then we wrap up.
Maybe two part. Your alma mater, and why I'm asking about your alma mater is pretty much that you went to champs with a KC individual, and he left you stranded.
Oh my God, Coach, my alma mater. I don't. It is not a champ school. I went to Pembroke Hall in Kingston.
Okay, very,
Pembroke
very,
Hall High School. Yeah,
very, very low profile. So
very low profile.
very
Yeah.
low profile, and the way you conducted this interview, I am assuming someone would say you are from Campion, or you're from say what's the school, Immaculate, it's because, but you're from Premical, and
Pembroke Hall, indeed. Yes.
your presentation is very much immaculate. I really appreciate you having me, and it's always my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Coach. And that was why earlier I said, and I live by this: it's not how you start the race, but how you finish.
Excellent,
And
excellent.
that's something
And
I.
we both can relate to it.
Yes, yeah. I did not go to a traditional high school, but of course I had to pay some attention to the book, and of course we're here tonight. So thank you very much, Coach, for joining. And this interview, I want people to share it, and I want young coaches to just to listen to you and learn something, because it is a lot of vital information. Guys, please remember to like, share, and share this interview. And Coach, before you go, I just want to say to you, just to say a word of encouragement to our young athletes, especially those athletes who are struggling in their events.
Uh, Pretty much, the life is tough. Life is difficult. Life is full of challenges. But don't be daunted by the challenges of life. One of the my philosophy that I always try to live by is that a man is a slave to what he see is good for him. And so, if you believe the sport is good for you, be committed, be dedicated, and you will achieve your goals.
With that said, we are out of here. And Coach, thank you very much for joining. And please, Coach, think about what I said about the middle and long distance program. Please think about it and let us have a conversation, because I think it would do well. We need it. And you have the resources. You have the resources right here, and that is the most important thing. Thank you very much, Neil Harrison. And also, I want to thank you that when I approached you at Champs, you were receptive in talking to me. Thank you very much. And keep up the good work and continue to guide our young athletes into greatness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, because I don't for this opportunity, because I think people see me, but I don't think they really know who Neil Harrison is.
I totally agree. And this is why I have this program, because we see coaches, we see athletes, we hear the names, but we haven't really gotten an opportunity to know who is the man or the woman or the boy or the girl behind this name. And this is why this project is very, very much important to me and dear to my heart, because this is how we get to know about the people who have contributed to the legacy through tears, through sweat, resilience, the whole works. Thank you very much, Coach. You have done well. You just use the word immaculately. You have done awesomely, immaculately well for Jamaica. And continue to do good work. Continue. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Always my pleasure.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you all for, just hanging out with us. It was challenging, but we got it done, and I'm happy. I did not want to lose this interview, because when I spoke to him last week, I realized that this man, his brain, it has a lot of vital information that is helpful to our legacy in the development of our athletes, baby athletes, young athletes, our juniors, our seniors, our pros, and so forth. So thank you guys for rejoining. Even when we got disconnected, you came back and you hang out with us. Thank you very much. And guys, the grand Slam, Grand Slam Championship is in the air. It is tomorrow to Sunday. And guess what? See you in the stands. Have a good night, guys. Thanks everyone for joining. Track Hero Vonnie M is saying good interview. Thank you, Coach Kino. Thank you, everybody. Tora, Singer Jasset, JW, Marlene Green was there earlier. Vivian Morana was there. My friend Akia from Trinidad, she was also there. Marlon Walker was there. One Track Hero. Everyone for joining. Thank you all for being here. J Jar was here and also Josiah. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Have a great weekend. And I will see you next week, same time. Yes, next week, same time. We will do it all over again because over here it is about celebrating Jamaica track and field legacy. Jamaica, one people, one legacy. Have a good night.
Jamaica's track and field legacy is unmatched. It is a story of triumph, resilience, and extraordinary talent. But do you know the stories behind the athletes who brought us glory? Hi, I'm HP, founder of HP Chat Track. My mission is simple, to celebrate the rich legacy of Jamaica track and field and shine a light on the incredible people who make it happen. Winning that race was a dream come true, but the journey wasn't easy. It's not just about medals, it's about inspiring the next generation. Jamaica track and field isn't just a sport, it's our pride, our culture, our heart. Every week I sit down with athletes, coaches and fans to bring you stories of dedication, passion and legacy. Plus, we've got exciting news and exclusive insights into the world of track and field. Make your Thursday night be at HP's place. Come hang out with us at HP Chat Track Studio, where track and field is our business. Jamaica. One people, one legacy.